Hi everybody, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is my very first episode and it is the top 10 most memorable moments of wrestling from 2018. Number 10, this happened at WrestleMania and it actually happened leading up to WrestleMania, but it really was a culmination at Mania, and it was Rusev Day. So Rusev Day had been building for probably over a year, but by the time it got to WrestleMania and we were walking downtown New Orleans where WrestleMania was, anytime we turned a street corner, there was another crowd chanting Rusev Day, and it was just one of the coolest stinking things that I'd ever seen. It was so much fun. Rusev Day. Number 9, another match coming from WrestleMania 34, Ronda Rousey teamed up with Kurt Angle against Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. This match was great. Many say this was the match of the night. I thought another match nudged it out just a bit, and you'll find out what that is later. But this match was incredible. The most inspiring moment of the match, and maybe of the year, is when Ronda Rousey picked up Triple H on her shoulders. This is a man easily twice her size. Now Stephanie pulled him down before Ronda could slam him, but just that image of Ronda holding him on her shoulders is memorable. Number 8 on my list, the last one from WrestleMania 34, Charlotte Flair versus Asuka. Now leading up to this event, Asuka had been undefeated. And the big question was, are you ready for Asuka? Nobody's ready for Asuka. Well, at the end of the match, we found out that Charlotte was ready for Asuka, and she actually won the match, ending Asuka's undefeated streak. However, the match itself was definitely the match of the night. All of the in-ring skills were unbelievable, and to see the emotion that these women put into it, it was captivating. 70,000 people and millions worldwide watching were absolutely captivated by this. One of my top 5 matches that I've ever seen, and I've seen thousands of them. So Charlotte Flair versus Asuka, number 8. Number 7, All In. Cody Rhodes, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, had gotten together and they had promoted this event that was a multi-promotional event. So it brought together Ring of Honor, the National Wrestling Alliance, New Japan Professional Wrestling, Lucha Libre, and several others to be in this one event together. The big match of the night was Cody Rhodes trying to win the NWA World Heavyweight title from Nick Aldis, the NWA champion. Now, Cody really wanted this belt, and the build up to it was all about his legacy. His father, Dusty Rhodes, had held that NWA World Heavyweight Championship, and he was a great champion. So Cody wanted to do that as well. At the end of the night, Cody walked home with a belt, and the rest of the world was exposed to so many different wrestling promotions that they hadn't seen before. So it was a huge success. Number 6, the NWA 70th anniversary. Now, the National Wrestling Alliance is the oldest governing body of professional wrestling in the United States. It's been around for 70 years now. So they had the celebration over here in Nashville where I live. So I was privileged enough to be able to go and see it in person, and it was so good, so much fun. The main event of the night was Nick Aldis trying to regain his NWA Heavyweights title from Cody Rhodes that he had lost it All In. So the match was really great. The build-up, they brought in several of the former champions just to sort of give their blessing, and it was a very moving night. During the match, it was a two out of 3 falls match. The first fall, Nick Aldis got Cody Rhodes in the Texas Cloverleaf, only he calls it the Kingsland Cloverleaf. Now, it was developed by Dory Funk Jr., and Dory Funk Jr. was a World Heavyweight Champion in the 1960s, and he created the Texas Cloverleaf. Now, when Nick Aldis uses it, it is the Kingsland Cloverleaf, because that's where Nick Aldis is from. But during the match, I could see in the shadows, Dory Funk Jr. stood up out of his seat, up in a roped-off section, wearing his big white cowboy hat, and he walked over to the edge and held on to the railing, and he watched and never took his eyes off of that match. And it was such a moving moment. NWA 70th. What has been missing from professional wrestling? Suspense. Coming in at number 5 on my list, another match from All In. Kenny Omega versus Pentagon Jr., the Masked Luchador. It was a very athletic match. It was a great match. Kenny Omega always gives 100%, and this match was no different. We were sold out to it the entire match. At the end, Kenny wins, and his hands are raised in victory, and the lights go out. A couple of minutes later, the lights come back up, and there stands Kenny waving, thanking the fans, arms up in the air, and Pentagon is behind him, flattened on the mat. Then Pentagon jumps up, attacks Kenny from behind, and just starts pummeling him, knocks Kenny out, and he goes to remove his mask. It wasn't Pentagon Jr. after all. It was the original Judas, Chris Jericho. Thank you, Jericho, for bringing suspense back to professional wrestling. 2018 hosted a slew of history-making moments for the women of wrestling. Coming in at number 3, Evolution. This was the first pay-per-view put on by the WWE that was an all-women's pay-per-view, and it was a packed card. Ronda Rousey retained the Raw title against Nikki Bella by submission. Becky Lynch defeated Charlotte Flair to retain the SmackDown title in a last woman standing match, and that match was unbelievable. Toni Storm came in and she won the Mae Young Classic, also a great match. Shayna Baszler won the NXT Women's title for a second time from Kairi Sane, and it was a great night of women's wrestling. The in-ring performances were spectacular. There was not a lot of story building leading up to this event, and there also was not a lot of advertising done by the WWE, so I'm not sure why. I don't really care why. It was a history-making moment and the top 3 most memorable thing that happened in 2018. Number 3, This Is Hope. In Abu Dhabi, there had never been a women's professional wrestling match. Women are required to stay covered almost from head to toe. And certainly the display of skill that wrestling shows is not something that normally was welcome there for women. Women's rights are very, very limited in that nation. And for the WWE to be permitted into the country and their women to be able to perform there in front of a crowd is unheard of. But there they stood, Alexa Bliss and Sasha Banks for the title, and they both were dressed from here all the way down to their feet. There was no skin showing other than their face and their hands. And the crowd chanted, "This is hope." Number 2, this one's a little controversial just because some people will have this one as their number 1. Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns shows up and announces that he is in a battle with leukemia and he's been fighting it for years. The place went silent. They were stunned. We were all stunned. But he's taking this time off to get himself back into great health, and we plan to see him back again soon. The most memorable moment in wrestling from 2018, the SmackDown Women's Division invades Monday Night Raw. Women from both brands are filling up the ring, fighting it out, and you see a punch come out of nowhere. Nia Jax lands on Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch instantly goes bloody, hits the floor, and you see Dana Brooke sort of slide over to her to see if she's okay. She waves Dana Brooke off, and then the champ, Becky Lynch, stands up, continues to fight and clear the ring. Then she gets out and she walks up the stairs to the top of the stadium, stands there at the top, spreads her arms out, bloodied face. That's when the man was born. Honorable mention goes to David Arquette and Nick Gage for their death match. Now, these are not matches that I'm typically a big fan of. They're very dangerous, and this one was dangerous. So dangerous, in fact, that David Arquette was hit with a light pole that actually punctured his neck, and you could see the blood sort of gushing out, and it was a really, truly terrifying moment. Some people loved the match, some people didn't love the match. It was memorable, no question about it. And I'm really glad to see David Arquette out on the indie circuit now, doing his thing and proving himself to wrestling fans. I hope you enjoyed this top 10 list. If you did, please like and subscribe to my channel and let all your friends know.